Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to our Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisance to our 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi, and I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here personally at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world subsequently. Today is day 9 of our month of the Ramanujans celebrations held here at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. Other centers around India are also celebrating, I think, 2 weeks of this auspicious time, the birth of the Adi Guru of Sanatana Dharma. Lord Sri Ramanuj is the Adi Guru of Sanatana Dharma, and we have the pleasure in inviting him to sit in his Akra Vigraha form, and we invite Guruji to sit on his Murti form, in the form of photographs that we have here at the ashram. Today I want to discuss and take forward the discussion I had, I think, 3 days ago, where I discussed the soul and consciousness, and I think it is appropriate to continue discussing from that point, that scientific point. So I'm talking about God realization, I'm talking about self-realization, and I am stating that it is impossible for one to attain self-realization on one's own. One has to go through a bona fide spiritual master who will direct you first outwardly and then inwardly. Both these directions will allow you to reach self-realization. Then once you have reached self-realization, which means you will see every other living entity as yourself. When you see a snail, you will consider the snail to be yourself. When you see a pig, you will consider the pig to be yourself. When you see a snake, you will consider the snake to be yourself. When I say consider to be yourself, it would mean that you see only the soul in the bodies of these 8 million or 8.4 million species of life forms. When you identify all of them equally, then you have reached self-realization. When you see everyone as equal to you in every manner, not theoretically, when you experience yourself, practically as everyone, as every soul that is identical and equal, then you will see God in everyone's soul, and you will come to a realization called God realization. That is my job, nothing else. I don't have any other job for those who want to become aspirants in this ashram. I don't have anything else for you. This is all I have for you. This is in my constitution. This is the instructions from my Guru, my personal Guru Swami Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj, and from our Adi Guru. This is the Sri Sampradaya. You come here for self-realization and God realization, not any Mickey Mouse realization. That you go to other ashrams, there you can get your Mickey Mouse realizations, Disneyland, and Touch Me, and Darshan, and all that bull. Yeah, practical, physical, scientific self-realization. That's all you're going to get? Yeah. Self-realization means reaching towards one soul. So I'm going to teach you how to reach your own soul. I've been teaching you for many years, and I'm going to continue teaching you until I cannot teach any more. So we're talking about consciousness, and there's two types of consciousness. There's material consciousness and there's spiritual consciousness. So when one converts their consciousness from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness, then you have self-realization and God realization. So before I go there, I just wanted to state that Lord Sri Ramanuj was not initiated by his own Guru, Ramanuj Acharya, but he was initiated by a disciple of Ramanuj Acharya, and he went 18 times to get initiated. The prior 17 times he was sent away. So similarly, I did not get initiated by my Guru Swami Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj. I got initiated by his disciple and son. By his disciple and son. Two sons, in fact. One turned against his father's teachings, and the other son continued in the father's teachings, where I took my initiation again. Lord Ramanuj also took two initiations, one from a guru that wanted him killed, and the other from Ramanuj Acharya, his guru's disciple. And when he got initiated, he immediately went onto the rooftop, called all the villagers and gave them the Om Namo Narayan mantra, despite being warned by his guru that he would go to hell if he gave this mantra to a non-believer. I learned this later. After my initiation, I came back and I started giving the Om Namo Narayan mantra to the world without knowing that there was a restriction in doing so. And when I realized there is a restriction in doing so, like Lord Ramanuj, I did not care. If I gave you this mantra and if it is beneficial to you, if it's making your life, and if this mantra can liberate you, then I don't mind myself going to hell if I could liberate any amount of people with this mantra. So I only realized this much later. In 2013, I did not have a whole lot of knowledge of Lord Sri Ramanuj or a whole lot of knowledge in terms of this mantra. I got it subsequently. So, without misunderstanding we get precedence by previous saints and sages in our Sampradaya, and the precedent was set 1000 years ago by Lord Sri Ramanujans himself. I just wanted to clarify that point, but I'm going to show you throughout this month how different parts of me is associated with Lord Ramanuj, with Yamanuj Acharya, with one of the Alvars, and another three of the Alvars. There are bits and pieces that I experienced that was experienced by the Purva Acharyas, the Alvars, Yamanuj Acharya, and a whole host of saints and sages preceding me. So coming back to the discourse that I had, I think 3 days ago, where I described attributive consciousness and substantive consciousness, and where I said that one can get self-realization. I want to bring the human factor into it, and how only a guru can initiate your self-realization and your God realization. So we have this body called the gross body. This body, the outermost body, this body is made up of food. This entire body is called the gross body or the food body, because the food that you eat gets processed through your system and appears as this gross body. Then beneath this body, giving this body shape, is called the pranic or prana body. This body is the air that fills up this gross body and gives it shape. So first you have this gross body that is made up of food, and then subtler than this gross body is the pranic body. And this pranic body, because it is subtler than the gross body, it pervades the gross body. It pervades the gross body and gives the gross body its shape. Then there's the mind. The mind, subtler than the pranic body, the mind enters the pranic body, which has entered the gross body, because the mind is subtler than the pranic body. And we have the next body called the intellect body. And this body, which is called the intellect, pervades the mind and the pranic body and the subtle body. And the next body we have is called the bliss, or the bliss sheet, or the causal body. And this fifth body houses the soul, and it pervades all the other bodies. And then the soul itself is so subtle that it pervades all the body. And that pervasion of all the bodies is called the attributive consciousness. So the attributive consciousness is found in the causal body. In the causal body, all the karmas are stored. All the karmas are stored in the causal body, and it takes its birth from the causal body, and when you experience all your karmas, the storage of that karmas is found on the causal body, which encases your soul. Are you understanding thus far?
Yeah.
So the job of the mind is willing, thinking, and feeling. Job of the mind is willing, thinking, and feeling. Behind the mind is the intellect, and the job of the intellect is to decide, make decisions. So let's look at it like this. When the mind is restricted to the known, the mind is restricted to the known, the intellect can go beyond the known. Mind is restricted to the known, the intellect can go beyond the known. Okay? So, all misapprehensions, they enter the mind and they cause a disturbance. When the disturbance settles, then the intellect takes that information and it makes a decision. It makes a decision. Remember, the mind can only react to the known. It cannot go beyond the known, but the intellect can go beyond the known. It is not bound by the known itself. Then, I want to give you an example. So many years ago, I was living in Effingham. We moved from Wales to Effingham. I had a minibus taxi, and my conductor used to sleep in the taxi. So one day, I jumped in the taxi and I saw him hiding in the back. He was frightened, he was shaking, he did not want to get up. And on the way, he told me that whilst it was still dark, a ghost dressed in white was sweeping the yard. A ghost dressed in white was sweeping the yard. And I asked him what time it was, and he said 4 o'clock in the morning. So the next morning, I got up at 4 to see if this ghost would sweep the yard again. Right bang on time, 4 o'clock morning, I saw this ghost dressed in white sweeping the yard. And this ghost was our neighbor. What was the name, sir?
Sheila.
Ro?
Sheila.
Yeah, the name Sheila is there. Name Sheila is in Roshila. Name was Roshila, but you all know when I say Sheila. Alright? So I left that boy, I had a bath, I had my breakfast, I jumped in the taxi again, and I went and I see him shivering again. He said, "Boss, I can't stay in this taxi anymore. I'm going home." Then I said, "No, it's a neighbor. We're all living in the same yard. It's a neighbor. It's Indian custom, well, not anymore, but it used to be Indian custom to get up 4 o'clock morning and sweep your entire yard, and even the road where the cars go up and down pavements. I remember my mom doing that those years ago. It was a custom. So I want you to understand the misapprehension. So he heard sweeping and he saw white, and two things that's known in the mind: the witch with the broom wearing white. Because that is known to the mind. Yes? But that is a misapprehension. So when I informed him that it was the neighbor, when I gave him knowledge, what happened to his misapprehension? His misapprehension was no longer there. So this is the job of the mind, and the mind has deluded human beings since time immemorial. It is purposely put there. It is purposely put there to delude you. The mind is purposely, it's an instrument, it's a material instrument. The mind is a material instrument, the intellect is a material instrument. So, let's understand this. When the mind misapprehended Roshila for being a ghost, was there a witness to it? There had to be another entity in the background to understand that misapprehension, yes? Otherwise, that entity, my conductor, he would not have been able to give me this evidence if it was not witnessed by another entity within him. And when I gave him the knowledge, then the intellect, his intellect, used that knowledge to understand that Roshila was not a ghost. Are you understanding? And who witnessed his intellect? No. That witnessing factor is called the ego. It's called the ego. The false identity that you are this body. So you get the soul. When the soul touches the causal body, false ego is born. Immediately thereafter, the soul thinks it's there. At that point, when the soul thinks it's the body, it's called, that's why we say false ego, false identity. And what is the false identity? Thinking that you are this body. So, the job of a guru is to teach you in discourses like this, through Sankirtana Yajna, that you are not the body. But simply telling you you're not the body is not going to help you. So we need to break it up into many parts and explain to you how the body was constructed by the Supreme Lord. He is the creator, and he constructed this human body for the purposes of liberation. For the purposes of liberation. Only the human, through the human body as a vehicle can the soul get liberated. There's no other way that the soul can get liberated. It is only through the human body And it is after you dissolve the mind, dissolve the intellect, and dissolve the ego. When you dissolve the ego, when you understand, I am not this body, I am the soul. When you dissolve the ego, the intellect and the mind dissolves on its own. You don't have to kill the mind. You don't have to kill the intellect. You kill the ego. You kill the ego, the intellect and the mind will kill itself. So you still have your senses, but your senses will now be spiritual. And let me explain to you how. So you have a house and you have 4 walls and your roof. During the day, even if you don't open your doors and your curtains, what fills your house? Sunlight. Sunlight will fill your house even if you don't open your windows, don't draw your curtain, don't open your door, there is a light inside. So if you break your 4 walls, obviously the roof will also break. What will happen to the sunshine that was inside your room or your house and the sunshine that was outside? It will merge and become one. So similarly, through transcendental discourses, through listening to transcendental discourses in terms of chapter 4 verse 34, when the ego is killed by killing your karmas. When you kill your karmas, accumulated karmas, what will happen to the ego? The ego dies automatically because it cannot tell you, I am this body. Because now your soul is telling you, I have all the knowledge. When you are ignorant of the knowledge, you are veiled by the causal body, which becomes the ego. When you have all the knowledge, what will happen to that ego? False ego. Because now you'll be identifying yourself as your real self, which is the soul. So your identification with the body will die, but you will still be within that body. But now you're going to say, I am a soul housed in this body. At the moment you are saying, I am this body. When you kill the I am, then that false identification dies. The mind and the intellect works only with this false identification. So the mind will die a natural death, the intellect will die a natural death, and you will continue living in this body as a soul, always identifying yourself as the soul. And that is how you're going to break the 4 walls of ego, intellect, mind, and your causal body. These 4 walls have to be broken. All of you understand? So when your attributive consciousness, when the walls are broken, then your attributive consciousness is no longer contracted by karma to the shape of your body. What happens? It reaches the attributive consciousness of the Supreme You understand? And at that point, you are in synthesis. Your consciousness is in synthesis with the Lord's consciousness, which means you are in spiritual consciousness. When you was dictated by ego, then you was in material consciousness. When you are dictated by the soul, you are in spiritual consciousness. And when you dictated by the soul, then you will be in God consciousness all the time. That is the job of the Guru. Theoretically very, very easy. Then the Guru has to hold your hand and take you through self-realization. So what is stuck in your attributive consciousness? What is stuck? What has contracted your attributive consciousness? Karma. How is karma influenced in your attributive consciousness? Is everyone's karma the same? What influences your karma? Your actions. Through what? So your mind, impelled by the three gunas, Satagun, Rajagun and Tamogun, your karma will dictate continuously in which of these three gunas your mind will be impelled in. Your karma will dictate in these three gunas how your mind must be impelled. You understanding so far? Then, together with the impulsion of the three gunas, we have the 6 vices: anger, hatred, jealousy, pride, envy, ego. A combination of the different gunas at different time, together with anger, hatred, envy, is what a human is composed of and how a human lives. Yes or no? So at one point you'll be angry, one point you'll be envious, one point you'll be jealous, one point you'll be greedy. You'll undergo all these vices continuously depending on your karma. So whatever degree your anger is, it's due to your karma. Whatever degree your greed is due to your karma. Whatever degree your pride is due to your karma. Whatever degree your envy is due to your karma. So all these in their proportion, impelled and manipulated by the three gunas, is what your character is today. Whoever you are today, that is where your karma took you with a combination of anger, hatred, greed, jealousy, all of this. So to reach God and to have a relationship with God, God put this barrier. This barrier of anger, hatred, jealousy, pride, karma, all this is a creation of the Supreme Lord. He put this barrier for you to break it down. For you to break it down and then reach Him. And then reach Him. And the job of the Guru is to teach you through experience. Through experience. Take you through this system of helping you to remove your anger, your jealousy, your hatred, giving you transcendental knowledge continuously so that you burn your karmas to ashes. When you burn your karmas to ashes, what will happen to anger, hatred, jealousy, pride? Because this has been distributed to you because of your karma. The three gunas start acting upon you because of your karma. Your karma is the basis of all this discomfort and experiences you are going through. So if you eradicate your karma, what will happen to these 6 vices in the main and these 3 gunas? The 3 gunas, even Satagun, you are attached to Satagun. Then you still attach to your ego. Only when you kill these 3 gunas, when you kill your karmas, you kill your 6 vices will collapse, and the 3 gunas will collapse, and you'll reach a state of bliss. When you reach that state of bliss, you have overcome even Satagun and you'll be in Suddha Sattva. As I'm saying, it's easier said than done. Easier said than done. And this is why I never run after people who leave this service. No phone call, no running after, because my job is not to pamper you. My job is not to pamper you. If soldiers were pampered in the military, you think we'll have military control of our borders? If policemen were pampered, if the instructor said do 100 press-ups and you did 5, and the instructor said, don't worry my boy, go have a bath and go sleep, what type of a policeman will be? Do you understand? Similarly, if I pamper you, am I going to make you into a disciple? My job is only to make you into a disciple. And disciple comes from the word discipline. If you have no discipline, if you have not disciplined yourself, if you don't want self-realization, then you are in the wrong place. This place is not to come here and gossip about this person and gossip about that person, gossip about the Guru's wife, gossip about the Guru's children, how the Guru's children behave, what a big mouth the Guru's wife got. This is not for all of that. This is not for all of that. Here you come to clean your own filth. Here you come to clean your own filth. And what is your filth? Your karma. And your karma gives birth to your anger, your hatred, your jealousy. That is the fruits of your karma. And the proportion is the fruits of your karma. All of you understand? And that is my only job. Create a divine society. I'm doing that I'm doing that well. Am I not?
Yes.
In fact, this ashram historically is the first ashram that has practiced social cohesion, political cohesion, racial cohesion, and social cohesion, racial cohesion, religious cohesion, and political cohesion simultaneously have never been done in this country ever before. And we started it many, many years ago. And every year it grew. Every year it grew. Today I am doing it on the national stage, am I not? interfaith was only a word. Today, interfaith is practiced almost all over the country. Even the ANC is having interfaith prayers. You understand? It all started here at the Sri Narayan Dham. There's historical evidence. And I am with people who told me they tried this 20 years ago. It didn't work. They came here and said it at this ashram. And this is why anyone invited from any title in any religion, they accept the invitation of the Sri Narayan Dham and they make sure they are here. Whether it's Muslims, Christians, Khoisan, whoever we send the invitation in terms of interfaith, they will always be here. This is historical. This is scientific. This is evidential. This is my mission. This is my mission. When you take social cohesion, racial cohesion, religious cohesion, and political cohesion, and when you synthesize all of that, it's called oneness. It's called oneness. This is my mission, oneness. All of you understand? So whilst my mission is two-pronged, my mission is two-pronged, creating a divine society and oneness. Divine society goes hand in glove with oneness and making you spiritual disciples. Making you spiritual disciples. Are you understanding? So, when I'm involved in these two big missions given to me by my sampradaya, I cannot do anything on my own. I cannot do anything on my own. I am a guru that belongs in a system. That is why you hear me paying my obeisances to, starting from my guru going right up to Lord Sriman Narayan. If any guru comes up in the middle anywhere and is not connected to Lord Sriman Narayan, then that is not a bona fide spiritual master. There's no other way other than that guru must be ordained by Lord Sriman Narayan himself. All of you understand? There's thousands of gurus mushroomed here and there. These gurus, if they cannot trace themselves, like how I trace myself, my guru, Swami Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj, our Adi Guru, Lord Ramanuj, our Purva Acharyas, that means all the gurus, going back all the way to Mother Lakshmi, and the 12 Alvars. If a guru can't find that path, then that is not a bona fide spiritual master. And this is why we've been successful on every assignment that I took. This is why we've been successful, because we are from the source. We are from the source. So I'm going to stop the spiritual discourse here, and I want to make a political announcement. And my political announcement will be, again, I'm appealing to all South Africans to vote for MK Party, and I'm giving my reasons as follows. The white monopoly capital, and one of them is Rob Herzog. Rob Herzog, go on Google, go and check him out. He called me personally last year, and he was very, very impressed to be in a live conversation with the Guru. And the very first thing he told me that he's a multi-millionaire or billionaire, I didn't listen nicely, and what he could do for me. So in the next sentence, I told him, I am a guru, and he cannot do for me what God can do for me. Sentence number 2, immediately. So he informed me that he is funding all the small parties. He is funding all the small parties and is breaking the ANC up. Then if you go on Buzz or Business, he's appeared 3 times on this Business Week. They have a conference in, and he will confirm what I stated, that his job is to break up all these small parties. How will he achieve this? By funding the parties. So all these parties that's around, that's in the Moonshine Pact with the DA, are all funded by the same funders. White monopoly capital. Then the same funders are funding the ANC. I want you to understand that these people with different names and different NGOs, different names, different NGOs, through the same families, these 6 main men and their families, 4, 4, 3, 2, they have created a network, a financial network with different names and channeling money through various political parties. Various political parties. So this, they funding the DA and the Moonshine Pact, all funded by white monopoly capital. So whichever way the cookie crumbles, who is in monopoly? The same white monopoly capital. Whoever goes into coalition with whomsoever, it doesn't matter to them, because they bought the field. They bought the field. So if there's 18 horses running, and if you bought the field, whichever horse come out first, you still a winner. You understand? So they bought the political field. The white monopoly capital owns all these political players. And I'm begging you, I want South Africans to research what I'm saying. This is called a New World Order. This is not only in South Africa, it's all over the world. President Zuma, from the 1990s, refused to be bought. He refused to be bought. Recently, he was offered 2 billion. Recently, a few days ago, he was offered 2 billion. That Justice Mokoen, he also made a public statement recently that he was offered a huge amount of money. From where? Through America. Through America. So this is big. What is happening in South Africa right now is very, very big. It has ruffled the feathers of the white monopoly. Remember, if you can't buy a man, you'll never buy him. After 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, President Zuma could not be bought. They tried every trick in the book. They tried every trick in the book. This is what MK party will do. It will redistribute the wealth that the white monopoly capital is trying everything. Remember, these are businessmen. They have consultants. They have strategies. And they have the money. And they have everything to lose. President Zuma has nothing to lose. It is the citizens of South Africa and the white monopoly capital that have everything to lose. Again, I want you to understand, and I'm talking to the citizens of South Africa, you must cut this on the political side and you must send it everywhere. Because if they have not gotten up, it's only 2 weeks left. For how many years was Cyril Ramaphosa deputy president? 9 years. 9 years. As long as President Zuma was president, Ramaphosa was deputy president. What does deputy mean? Second in charge. The greatest performance in this country was during President Zuma's presidency. Yes or no? Go and analyze. Go and analyze. Free HI or ARVs, free ARVs. He built 2 universities. He built 2 universities in his time. This infrastructure that you see is what President Zuma started. Road infrastructure development started by President Zuma. When and in 2015 he gave a guarantee no more load shedding. Did he do that? Was there no more load shedding in his presidency? Who was his deputy? If he was not captured, and I want you to use your logic, use your mind, if Cyril Ramaphosa was not a puppet of the white monopoly capitalist, would he not have taken the baton on load shedding and ensured there was no load shedding? Because if Zuma did not have load shedding for 2 years, and you are second in charge, and you are privy of the information on how there was no load shedding, then wouldn't there be continuity in no load shedding? Wouldn't there have been built another 2 or 3 universities? Wouldn't the infrastructure development have continued? They just started recently because of election purposes, right? This could have started in 2017. Infrastructure, it should be a seamless transition. That is why you have deputy presidents. When one president leaves, there must be a seamless transition on all aspects of development and every other thing that the president is involved in. Yes or no? Yes. Why did it go? Why did Ramaphosa make a U-turn? Why did the country go backward after President Zuma was removed from his presidency? When he said the Russian deal, will assist in our load shedding, did President Zuma say that? Yeah. Now are they agreeing that the Russian deal will assist in decreasing load shedding? They have agreed now. President Zuma begged them, he told them, let me finish my term so that I can conclude this deal with the Russians. You understand? And there's 1,000 other things I can point out. But I'm pleading to the South Africans. Only the MK party is not influenced by white monopoly capital. And this is why everyone is trying to get rid of President Zuma. If you vote for any other party, you will be responsible for the continued poverty of this country. Who will be responsible? Yes, because all these people in the Moonshine Pact and the ANC, if they get more than 50%, then we are destroying our own country. We are destroying our own country. The evidence is on Google. Type anywhere, check anywhere. This is not coming from the Guru's realization. This evidence is everywhere. This evidence is everywhere. Put it together and vote wisely. Vote MK. Remember that the MK party has not launched a manifesto yet. You don't know what's the policies of the MK party. But look at the campaigning of the MK compared to all the other political parties in this country. All these political parties are funded. The MK is not funded. We do our own campaigns. As I've stated, on Saturday when President Zuma arrived, I personally with the ashram was involved in 50% of that event that took place. How many percent? 50%. We're putting our hands deep in our pockets to ensure that our country reaches stability. So, white monopoly capital, there's 2 weeks left. The propaganda machine will kick into force. Don't be like my conductor. Don't be like my conductor and think there was a ghost sweeping around the yard. This is what the white monopoly capital will make you think. Mis and disinformation. Look at President Zuma. I was very, very close to him on Saturday. We encircled him and did a multi-faith prayer for his protection. There's scars on his head. He's old. He's wrinkled. But look at his mind. Still as sharp as a razor. At the moment, the MK party is revolving around President Zuma's righteousness. President Zuma's righteousness. And let us look at this spiritually. Let us look at this spiritually. Who deposited gold in South Africa? Who? The Supreme Lord. Who deposited diamond in South Africa? Who deposited all these precious metals that we have in South Africa? Who? Supreme Lord. For whose benefit? For foreigners or for the natives of this land? God, does he make a mistake? God does not make a mistake. If He deposited this wealth for His children in South Africa, and foreigners are stealing this wealth, you think God will be happy that His children for whom He deposited this wealth are living in shacks? They have no food. They are hungry. They become criminals because of their hunger. What do you think God's perception on the white monopoly capital raping the prosperity of this country? How would God be looking at this scenario? Will He be on the side of political parties that is assisting the white monopoly capital? Or will He be on the side of the righteous who wants to distribute the wealth of this country back to whom the Lord wanted the prosperity to go to? Logic. Bring God into this and look at it from God's point of view. In the past 30 years, if the white monopoly capital did not rape South Africa of its wealth, there would be nobody living in an informal settlement, and everyone comfortably would have been either middle class or a millionaire. That is the amount of wealth that was stolen by the white monopoly capital from South Africa. Jai Shri Mannarayan.